and you want to see people sweat, talk to a futurist and say, tell me about the future in 2.5 minutes, go. But that's pretty much what we're doing. 3 futurists, 10 minutes, and we're going to start with you, Daniel. Daniel, you talk politics, you talk economy. We assume they're connected in some way that we're very unclear about. So, 2018, what does the future hold for us, Daniel?
Well, the future changes by the moment, I must tell you. Look, I think this is going to be a substantially more interesting year for South Africa. We've got a major sea change coming, and that change is the change of leadership of the ANC. And if you watch what's been said over the course of the last couple of days or so, you watch the new nuances from Ramaphosa, and that's my job, is to try and read between the lines. What are these guys saying? What do they really intend to provide for South Africa? If you watch this, I think you get the idea that the ANC has finally understood that the negativity of the last number of years of the Zuma presidency has to end, not just because it's detrimental to the South African economy, but clearly also it's detrimental to the ANC's chances of getting re-elected next year. And this notion of renewal is going to become the big focus for the ANC. It's also a focus which will try and encourage greater inward investment into South Africa. Our GDP lags. It lags the rest of the world. It lags Africa. And I think South Africa understands that if it doesn't get leadership right, if it doesn't get credible leadership right, and it doesn't get its policy agenda right, then I think we will fall and slip further behind, and that does nothing for the millions of unemployed people in South Africa who are suffering on a daily basis.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it?
There's more if you want.
We may come back to you in a moment, Daniel. So now, Nomboniso, you're sitting in the Zen position. I don't know if you're looking to calm yourself, but your take when we look at the landscape 2018, do we have reason to be positive or not? What's your take on 2018?
Well, I think that if we look if we think back to the last 2 years at this time in January 2015, January 2016, we will realize that there is a palpable difference in the political mood in the country. And that is related to the leadership that has been elected in the ANC conference. So it provides a possibility for the ANC to change some of its practices, and in particular to actually see President Zuma leave, and also the possibility to see some of the people associated with a number of scandals that we have seen, which have actually brought this country into a state where it was almost on autopilot. So possibly by this time next year, some of them will be facing charges. There is no doubt about that. Secondly, I think what is also important is that this is a year before elections. So the ANC is going to capitalize on that. I think also we are going to see quite a lot of turbulence. And I think that the victory that was projected a few months ago in relation to the DA and opposition parties that was almost seen as guaranteed is no longer as guaranteed as it was, because part of the capital of that was related to the inability of the ANC to deal with its problems, but also we see the DA itself actually unraveling in so many ways. Right now, there's major crisis, water crisis in Cape Town. The DA is not able to pull together. We don't know who is in charge of that process. Is it the mayor? Is it the deputy mayor? So I think that one of the things that is very important, however, is that the citizens of this country are writing themselves onto the agenda once more. And the economy in South Africa and globally is not going to recover as quickly as Ramaphosa says and as many people say. We also see a much more nuanced view on land, for example. If Dlamini Zuma had won, she was talking about expropriation without compensation and all these things. The policy conference has come up with a much more nuanced position that still goes back and says everything must be done within Section 25 of the Constitution. So there is a little bit less nervousness, but all these are possibilities. And in politics, there are no guarantees.
So in a nutshell, There's reasons to be positive, but the only guarantee about the future, there's no guarantees whatsoever, because you've been going along quite fine, and then you get taken out by the weather, like in the DA's case. It's like, how do you prepare for that?
Absolutely.
But, all right, so we've heard politically, economically, a little bit more on the politics, and now we live in a technological world. Everything is technology. It is impossible to be at a conference today and not hear about technology. I think, thank goodness we've moved beyond people talking about the next Uber, but we are being driven by technology. And Pieter, the tour guide to the future, technologically, what does 2018 look like?
I'm very glad I'm not answering any political questions, because here they are measured on your accuracy, and after Trump and Brexit, futurists don't have a good deal. But I'm a technology futurist, and we're measured by our originality. However, I'm going to take a big leap. I'm going to take one of the pages out of CNN that says, I'm going to stake a claim in predicting the next big thing. So after tablets and the internet and smartphones, what is the next big thing? Well, here's a couple of tips. Firstly, it's not a gadget. It's going to be all around us. And it's going to be called the Uber, the ubiquitous personal assistant. Or, in other words, this. Yes, this little device is going to be the next big thing, because Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant is going to be incorporated in 30 devices this year. And wherever you go in the world, you're going to use your voice to define the future. That is the next big thing. What's also quite interesting is predicting the future is never an easy task. So last year I was involved in a research project at Vodafone, and we got some of the world's top futurists to predict the future. And we decided to open up a website called Headlines from the Future, where you can read the news before it happens. And then we're going to see at the end which futurist actually got it right, and give a couple of awards for it. And for those of you, we're going to launch the website in about 2 or 3 months, but we put a small taster for you to find out exactly what the future might look like. A lot of my work, I focus on leveraging the future or creating the future. I'm the director at the Institute for Technology, Strategy and Innovation at Northwest. And about 80% of my time, we focus on creating the future. So here, we focus on training programs that are hidden elements of innovation consulting. And we've launched about 100 innovation initiatives and about 3,000 students over the last 10 years. So we're very proud of our Artificial Intelligence Masterclass and our Digital Transformation Masterclass. That's what's on my personal agenda for 2018. Lastly, we have to focus on a very interesting field of study in the world of futurism, and that is called complex adaptive systems. It says that human systems are complex systems, not linear or predictive. One recipe that worked in one ecosystem is completely useless in another. Ask Vodacom and M-Pesa. And that's going to be part and parcel of what we do. How to create new methodologies in order to unlock the future. So if you want to have a tour guide to the future, if you want to explore, go to Headlines from the Future. If you want to create or navigate, the Institute is the right place to be.
So creating the future with our voice. And it's always remarkable to me how things that seem incredibly futuristic or sci-fi or ridiculous become sort of passé. And I remember the first time I used a cell phone, it was very awkward, and I wouldn't take a phone call in public. You'd sort of hide away and take. And then the idea of talking to your phone seemed embarrassing, yet we do it all today quite openly and naturally. To predict a future, the best way to predict a future is to create it. And the way you create it is you've got to understand as best as possible what is going on right now and what that data will inform about the immediate future. So having futurists, and I guess there's a danger in that term, but having people like yourselves at any conference, you spend your lives researching this stuff. And Pieter, you don't answer political questions because it's not your thing. You spend your days immersed in technology. Daniel, I see you on Twitter. You're immersing yourself in politics, in the economy. Same with you, Nomboniso. That's the thing you do. You are an expert because you understand or have assimilated as much data as possible. So at any conference, to provide a sense of where we are now and what the immediate future is likely to hold, a future such as those we have on the stage today is indispensable. Thank you all very much for your time. Pieter, Nomboniso, and Daniel, thank you.
Thank you.